Good morning. My name is Ruth Buggie. I work in the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland, and I'm delighted to speak at this EPA Water Conference. I look forward to sharing some of the learnings from our work in the SEAI Sustainable Energy Communities Programme. My thanks to Emer Cotter and Mary Gurry for the invitation today, and I look forward to the panel discussion with the fellow panel members after this presentation. I'm not a water expert, but I do have experience in building a network of sustainable energy communities. Over the next 15 minutes, I'll explain what the Sustainable Energy Communities Network is, the intent of the programme, its early vision, and the supporting policy that has come to be, and what we've learned over the last 15 years of working with communities. Hopefully, the ways in which we've reached and motivated almost 600 communities to change the way energy is understood and used locally can help inform how you can engage communities in future water practices. The Sustainable Energy Communities Programme started in 2006 as an EU-funded project, which was led by SEAI in partnership with Louth County Council, with the intent of working at a local level to demonstrate how 2020 energy targets could be achieved early and demonstrated nationally. Then moving on to how we define a sustainable energy community. We define it as a community that works together to develop a sustainable energy system, crucially for the benefit of that community. They do this by being as energy efficient as possible, using renewable energy where feasible, and considering smart energy solutions. It can be as small as a street or as large as a county or a region. An EU definition refers to community energy as a collective of energy actions that foster citizen participation across the energy system. The bubbles to the right of our definition describe policies currently under development at an EU level around citizen energy communities, renewable energy communities, and active energy citizens. While these all sound very similar, they have very different purposes and definitions. However, we believe our SEC definition still works and can incorporate all of these later models. Our community approach is to work with existing structures and practices where possible. While there isn't a typical community, the majority arise out of the likes of a tidy towns group, a local development committee, a sports group, or a residents committee. Our definition is broad and flexible by purpose. This is great in some ways and challenging in other ways. Membership to the network is very easy and straightforward. However, access to grants is more limited as it must fit in with more defined and stringent criteria. We can refer to communities as those of shared location or shared interest. The majority of our communities are those of shared location. We also talk about communities in terms of the energy you use and the energy you influence and the balance between both of those. In setting up the SEC programme and network, we had the following objectives. To develop an energy champion network, we could see that specific people in projects at a community level were key to the success of those projects, and we wanted to replicate that opportunity. We want to support a capital grant programme in community energy efficiency that has grown from €3 million in investment in 2012 to €100 million this year. We wanted to replicate those projects that were successful. We also wanted to build local capacity to deliver projects. We wanted to develop relationships between commercial, public, and community organisations and to foster innovation. And by innovation, it's a very broad term. We talk about financial innovation, how grants can be structured. Technical innovation will be the one most people will be most familiar with. Knowledge transfer, typically between the commercial and community sectors, and identifying new delivery mechanisms for community grant work. Then in terms of what we now work to achieve and what the policy drivers are, we had organisational objectives and we started with one policy objective from the Energy White Paper, which was to engage and enable the energy citizen. From this diagram, you can see just how much policy has built up since then, and the programme fits into this and can deliver on these policies. We were lucky, but we were also very flexible. So in terms of policy versus practice, we had the practice first and the policy followed. It wasn't as straightforward as that, and the SEC programme continued to adapt and evolve over that time. Had we waited for all the policy implementation, we would only be starting now. The diagram shows the programme with the energy citizen at its core, and we use a community approach to engage the energy citizen. Initially, the SEC programme was just me. It has now grown to 4 people, and we're due to get another start later this year. As part of this policy evolution, we have a target to establish 1,500 SECs by 2030 in the Climate Action Plan. We are on track, but this is a very ambitious target. Tidy towns have been around for about 70 years and they're at about 900 communities, so we're chasing that target. We've also have an approach to work with the willing. So in everything we do, communities come to us, we engage and we enable them to do what they want to do. There's no large advertising campaign. The network grows through local mentors engaged by SEI to support the community's participation in events, and then events such as this and word of mouth. Then when we look at what the SEC network motivation and why communities join the network, In order to try and match SECs with their key interests and identify working groups of similar projects, we ask communities to identify their key areas of interest in the initial application form. They have 6 choices and they can select as many as they like. These include energy efficiency and saving money, being part of a low carbon community, renewable energy, energy education and behaviour change, sustainable transport, and fuel poverty. The figures underneath each of those 6 icons indicate the number of communities that have selected that choice. When we look over the 5 years of applications and the 570 community applications, we notice a number of trends. These include that energy efficiency and saving money is the most popular and is included in 3/4 of all applications. At the start of the programme, towards the early start of the programme in 2016, communities selected an average of 2 areas of interest. In 2020, this has now doubled to 4 areas of interest, indicating a growing awareness and interest from communities and capacity to take on a number of different areas simultaneously. The interest increased the most in renewable energy and developing low carbon communities. We have a panel of 31 local mentors linked to each local authority area who support the communities in their area, coordinate meetings for them and events, and guide the communities along their journey. We also provide 100% grant support for communities to hire an energy consultant to help them develop an energy master plan of the energy used locally and to draft a register of opportunities of projects with the relative merits of these projects in terms of cost and payback. This can then be used to support an application to our community grant programme. To give a sense of what one of these projects might look like, and because it's a water one, it was convenient for today's event. So we have a case study here of the Polecat Springs Group Water Scheme. The Polecat Springs Water Treatment Plant serves approximately 600 drinking water connections as part of a rural group water scheme cooperative in County Roscommon. In 2019, the cooperative, in partnership with their plant operator, Veolia Water Ireland, installed a 50 kilowatt solar PV system to reduce the overall electricity costs and associated carbon emissions. The current available space owned by the co-op could facilitate an installation 3 times that size. Therefore, the planning permission allows for an expansion of the current 50 kilowatt in future phases. The co-op engaged a number of partners in the project, including Veolia as a plant operator and a project coordinator to help source appropriate funding to support the project. The co-op were initially provided with technical support in SEAI's Sustainable Energy Community Programme. The project coordinator then secured capital funding through the Better Energy Community Scheme from SEAI, and that provided 50% of the eligible cost as a grant. The first installation was installed and commissioned in 2019, end of 2019. Further work is ongoing to optimise the installation to balance the pumping operation. This is the first group water scheme in Ireland to install such a system. We would see a number of key success factors in this project. One, the cooperative structure and the size of the scheme itself with 600 connections, the availability of a sinking fund, 50% grant from SEI, the strong community buy-in and the shared benefits. And now they're looking towards building a 100% renewable facility and even potentially getting involved in exporting electricity to the grid in the future. They achieved a 70% saving in the energy used alongside the carbon saving. So this is a huge benefit to all the members of this cooperative. So then just to look at some of the key learnings. When we started the programme in 2015, we did a survey of all of the communities involved in the grant programme. From this survey, a number of skills and key areas of knowledge necessary to deliver a community project were identified. We worked to develop foundation level training courses in these areas to boost the confidence at a community level in undertaking the projects. Whilst we've been lucky in terms of the evolving policy landscape, this is a reflection of the energy systems we are part of and how they have changed at a pace, scale, and level of complexity never before experienced. There's a strong demand for energy information and for increased energy literacy, somewhat much more technical knowledge, which we work to provide via subject-specific webinars. But the foundation courses that we rolled out again last May took 600 bookings in just 3 weeks. So in terms of those learnings and what's worked for us, the importance of having local mentors to guide communities, a space to share ideas, to collaborate, inspire, and learn from mistakes. Our national event, which is held yearly, is a great day of communities coming together, and the noise of the sharing and the talking and the engagement between communities is absolutely wonderful. We need to learn how to scale and replicate the communities, but also our programs and supports to keep in track with those. We also have to work to build partnerships between commercial and community partners. We look to enable organisations such as the PPN network, universities, tidy towns, local development companies, and even projects with the GAA, which I know are also involved in water under the current Green Clubs initiative that we're part of. How we can look for co-benefits. The communities are driven by a number of different reasons and why they participate in our programme. Green tourism, business competitiveness, development of local skills, building cohesion at a community level, scores and tidy town competitions are all part of what we hear on a regular basis. There is a need for state organisations to collaborate better and make links for communities, and events such as today is a great way to do that. I say this with no small amount of irony, but we do need to reduce the administration burden on volunteers. We need to look at ways we can compete for community time and not have communities competing for ours. I'd also highly recommend, from our own experience, supporting research and community involvement in research projects, as it's been an excellent way for communities to learn and to engage in the more technical approaches in energy. Some of our programme goals over the next 1 to 3 years would be supporting community-led renewable electricity generation. Opportunities for community benefit funds from these electricity projects can create a long-lasting legacy in communities and could see €750 million being transferred from developers to communities over the next 30 years. We need to build for replication, but at all times remain flexible and design the future of schemes with communities. We're looking to build stakeholder groups and a better representation structure to inform that design. The pace and scale has to be determined by the community, and each community is different. And then look at the balance of community value with state supports. As we look to the future of community energy, we see emerging roles for communities as providers of energy, and in some parts of Europe, communities own parts of the electricity grid. This is not something we see in the near future here, but we do see a role for peer-to-peer sharing of local electricity, and an exciting project in Tipperary is leading the way in acting as a virtual community power plant, buying and selling renewable energy at a local level. We look forward to communities having the opportunity to benefit both from investment opportunities and from community benefit funds, and to work to develop lasting legacy projects for the benefit of their community in meeting the challenges of climate change. I hope that some of what I've covered today can help inform you your own community approach, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you very much indeed. And there are my contact details if anybody wants to ask any specific questions I don't get a chance to in the panel. Thank you very much indeed.